Hi, Tom Anderson, day 68 of 100 Days of Thankfulness. Today is part 8 of Pursuing Your Dream, where we're going to be talking about the importance of recognizing opportunities, as well as why I'm so thankful for Jason Domingo. So yesterday I was talking about the importance of taking risks, especially as it relates to starting your own business. But it's important not to do it in such a way that you're taking out a huge loan, because over 80% of small businesses fail for exactly that reason. They scale too fast, and rather than starting small and building up from there. So there's a couple really good approaches. One of them I shared a couple days ago when I talked about how you can get into consulting. Another really good approach is through home-based business, which is exactly what I did in 1993 when I joined the Amway organization. Now, over the years that I worked with the Amway organization, I received 3 big takeaways. The first one was simply the ability to have enough confidence in order to approach a total stranger and initiate a conversation and get to know them a lot better. That ability is hugely important for interviewing as well as negotiating a good price with a supplier. Another big takeaway is just recognizing that the idea of having a successful life by exchanging hours for dollars is always going to be a limited amount of success. And the reason for that is, whenever you're trying to just climb even one rung of the corporate ladder, that requires you to outperform all your coworkers. And as a result, that's going to require you to put in even more hours to do that. So what we find is that either you're making a lot of money in a corporation, but you don't have a lot of time, or you're not even trying to pursue advancement in your career within that company, and so you have the time, but you're not making a lot of money. So the idea with a truly successful life, and I didn't have this concept before I joined Amway, is that a truly successful life is one where you have the time and you also have enough money that you can basically do whatever it is that you love to do. So the third big takeaway that I received from working with Amway is I was working with a lot of people that were Christians, and I was, just enjoying my time with them so much that I think that influenced me quite a bit. And as the other part of it is they have a training program where they have a book of the month, and sometimes those books were Christian in nature. In particular, the book that I mentioned before, on Becoming a Real Man by Edwin Lewis Cole, had a profound impact on my decision to later become a Christian. So that alone, even if we ignore the first 2 things, that blows any idea of success that I had prior to that completely out of the water, because with that I received my salvation, and so now for all eternity I get to be in heaven. Nothing can compare, or nothing ever will compare to that accomplishment, which really wasn't even my accomplishment, but it was simply what God did for each of us. Now, I'm sort of getting off on a tangent there, so I apologize for this, but I do want to talk and share a bit about Jason Domingo's story about recognizing opportunities. He shares a story about his dad, where he had an opportunity because he had a bunch of money in savings where he could have actually helped. He was approached by a couple guys who had like this video game console that would hook up to a television set, and they just needed I can't remember what the exact figure was. It was maybe $10,000, $20,000 or something in order to start this company, and so they were looking for an investor to help them with that. And he tried their game, and he said, "Oh, it looks interesting," but in the end he just decided it was too much money, too big of a risk. Now it turns out that the game that he was being shown, that his dad was being shown, was Pong. And this was the Atari Corporation in its infancy. So, obviously in hindsight, being 2020, we can see, that was probably a poor decision on his part. But, maybe once or twice in our lifetime will we be presented with, an opportunity like that. And, it's not always that clear that, what we're being presented with is, a truly game-changing idea. Jason Domingo was also involved in the Amway organization, and he has been, involved in a number of multi-level marketing organizations where he's, been so incredibly successful that, I'm talking millionaire status with that. And he says that, his, once in a lifetime opportunity that came his way is with the Yabo organization. And that's actually what this shirt is, 43 essential nutrients. I shared more about that on day 7, so if you want to review that, you certainly can. But I believe it. I mean, given what I've experienced with the products, Karen and I have, since we stopped doing Amway, whenever we have a friend that invites us over for their home business and they want to, share some products with us, we're always more than happy to go over and support them in any way that we can. Whether it's purchasing some products, if we like them, and if we really like them, and we think we want to start buying it on a monthly basis. There's a couple times where we actually became distributors. One was with IHU, and another was with Essential Oils. We get those, every month on a regular basis. But never in our mind were we thinking that we would actually get involved as distributors and start selling it to any of our friends again. And the reason for that is, there's a negative aspect to multi-level marketing, and that's this concept of bias. So, you might have noticed that sometimes you go over to your friend's house or whatnot, and they seem like really excited, maybe even overly excited about what they're trying to sell you. And as a result, that sometimes can lead to a certain level of mistrust in the relationship. And that's what I wanted to avoid at all costs, because that was one of the things I really didn't like about being involved in the Amway organization is even though I really believed in the system, I was finding it difficult to, really just explain to some of my friends exactly why it was so important to me. And so that sometimes could damage the relationships. I now believe relationships are, the most important thing. And so, to try to sacrifice relationships in order to make some money just, doesn't really work for me. So I didn't want to get involved in any kind of organization for that purpose. What sets this apart is every other MLM I've been in has been all about the system and the opportunity and not about the product. I mean, that was one of the things, even though Amway had thousands of products, they would say, focus on the opportunity, focus on the system, don't focus on the products. And it makes sense to do that because, sometimes the products are overpriced and, it's one of those things where if you really stop and think about it, most of the time when people quit these multi-level marketing, where they're all excited about the products, how many times do they still, after quitting, they still want to buy the products? The answer is, none, and not in any case that I've ever heard of. So I personally believe that, it's important, that you believe in the products as well as the system. Before you get involved in any kind of multi-level marketing organization. So we got involved in this just for, again, just like what we were doing with IHU and Essential Oils, I was looking to stop taking supplements. But then what happened after that convinced me that, their whole process of their new technology that, it's a brand new company, just came out this year, where the technology is called cold baking, where they're actually preserving all these nutrients by, effectively getting all the moisture out of these natural foods while preserving the nutrients by not using high heat. And so as a result of that, you've got this incredible shelf life on all of their products, and they taste great because it's got all of this food in there, and so it's real food. It's not pills. And for me, what I tasted great, and to get off of taking 18 pills a day was enough for me to get involved and become a distributor to get the wholesale price. But what really changed it was when I realized everyone that had been on this for taking 2 meals a day, getting their 100% of their essential nutrients for 30 days straight has had something some phenomenal experience. For me, it was my knee. But all of my boys, have had, amazing results as well. Karen's going to be sharing her story about Kyle, who has autism, and he's high-functioning autism, high anxiety. But that story will help you to see where I became just such a huge believer in what the YAVA organization is doing, not just from the perspective of giving everyone an opportunity to make more money. From that perspective, I think they're very much like many other multi-level marketings, but they're really looking to change the world in terms of drastically reducing the number of chronic diseases that we're having out there. And that, given that my recent experience with cancer, skin cancer, that I've now gotten over, that is definitely something that I can stand behind and make that a part of my life. So I recognize the opportunity for what it is, and I just want to thank Jason Domingo for also recognizing the opportunity for what it is. So thanks again.